Good evening. I'd like to call to order the September 10th, 2012 Lake Washington School District Board of Directors meeting. And board has just come from a work session on our technology instructional technology program. And all board members are present, so I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Second.
A motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Our first thing is we have some visitors.
We do. For our host school tonight, we actually have our directors of school support here to give us their annual opening of school report. So I'd like to ask Dale Cody and John Holman, David Larson, and Ken Lyon, who are directors of school support, to come forward for the opening of school report.
Good evening. I'm Ken Lyon, Director of School Support for the East Lake Learning Community, and we're off to a really good start this year. Inglewood is now a middle school. I was talking with some folks over there today, and in the bottom right-hand portion, you can see the administrative team feeling pretty good about a number of things, and they have good reason to be. First of all, they have a new sixth grade program that is a new model for sixth graders, and it's off to a very good start. They have block classes in language arts and social studies, also math and science, and a new elective program, and that's working exceptionally well. 6th and 7th grade students, as well as the 6th and 7th grade teachers, because 2/3 of the school is in kind of new positions, are reporting that they're pretty happy and things are going well. And they've also rolled out 1,100 netbooks in the past week, and all of that went exceptionally well. In the bottom left are the 6 principals from Alcott, Blackwell, Carson, McAuliffe, Meade, and Smith. What you don't see is about 180 teachers in front of them where they're serving, they're grilling hamburgers and hot dogs for them. On August 31st, they had an ELC, PLC. All 6 schools came together by grade level at Smith Elementary, and they worked the whole morning, half a day, in grade level teams working on technology and data dashboard and SIP planning and other instructional parts. So it was really, really pretty exciting. We have some changes in administration in the East Lake Learning Community. Mark Bloomquist is now the associate principal at Inglewood Middle School. He had a lot of the responsibility for rolling out the netbooks and did so flawlessly. And Steve Thatcher from Utah, Salt Lake City area, and Elena Sivadasan from Skyline High School are now associate principals at East Lake High School, and they're pretty busy because the other associate principal, Chris Beatty's wife, had a baby last week, so he's not there. So they're really taking over lots of responsibilities now, and it's a pretty exciting team. Now, if you look at the student population in East Lake, you can see that we have large schools like Alcott and Meade, and also small schools like Blackwell. And, you know, both a large school and a small school, they both pose some pretty good issues and problems in terms of staffing and working together and finding time for different programmatic parts. But all of these schools have reported that they're, despite different size changes, they're off to a exceptionally good start. If you look at the total enrollment, because we also have the STEM school that is housed at East Lake High School right now for probably the next 3 months. So I've included their numbers in here. Our total is about 139 larger than the East Lake Learning Community has been before. If you look at Some of the goals that we're working on, last year we developed a mission and vision statements because we're functioning as best we can move forward as a professional learning community. So we've created a mission to establish, develop, and sustain a culture of professional learning communities that positively impacts student learning and raises student achievement. So that's the major focus, and we like to say we have a laser-like focus on student learning. So in terms of goals, we're working through the SIP planning process, focusing on results. We're using a variety of assessments. We've had a good start working with a data dashboard, and we're now in the process of setting our SMART goals and planning for monitoring the SMART goals throughout the year. As you see in our mission, we do have a focus on professional learning communities. About 125 teachers and administrators across the district attended the PLC Conference Institute in Seattle this summer, 65 of them from the Eastlake Learning Community, and one of our goals will be collective inquiry, where we go through an inquiry process looking at different assessments and how students are achieving, and making some decisions around it that will hopefully impact instruction and impact positively student learning. And so we look at effective teaching and classroom instruction. We'll be involved again with learning walks across the district, and also walkthroughs and teachers being in classrooms every day. So we're off to a good start, and we're having fun, and everyone's working pretty hard.
Good evening. My name is Dale Cody. For those I have not had a chance to meet, I'm new, and I'm the Director of School Support for the Juanita Learning Community. I'm going to start where Ken left off and talk a little bit about our focus going into this year, which is a continuation and probably a continued theme that you'll hear from the other DSSs as well. That being ongoing development of professional learning communities and really focusing on those systems being in place for teams of teachers to get together to talk about student learning, to identify what they want them to learn, what they're going to do to assess their learning along the way, and then how they respond, whether they've learned it or whether they're struggling. Really collaborating as a group of administrators together and talking about their administrative practices inside the classroom, through learning walks, through being in the classrooms every day, and drilling down even a little farther and beginning some work around some daily ongoing formative assessments, meaning once we've identified a learning target for our classroom, how do we know our students have learned that for that period of time? How is it that we assess and gather evidence that those students have learned for that day, that period of time? And again, as I've said, some collaboration and professional growth just amongst our professional learning community. There's so many wonderful professionals within that group. We'd like to welcome 2 new principals and actually a new school. A.G. Bell is now a school within the Juanita Learning Community. Heidi Paul is a new principal at A.G. Bell. She comes from Inglewood Junior High, the first-year principal there. They are also undergoing construction of a new school. We're also welcoming Heather Frazier as a principal at Sandburg, opening a brand new school just this year. Heather's also comes from within our district, Rosa Parks last year, where she did her internship. We also like to welcome 3 new beautiful buildings to our learning community. One being John Muir Elementary with the principal Jeff DeGallier. And it's a beautiful building. I know Jeff was stressed out the week before school opened, just making sure that we had places for kids to go for recess and should there be any kind of an emergency. And our construction crew and support services really came through in the end. No struggles inside the building, and everything's going well, with the exception of a little bit of a power outage last night. They're good to go today. Helen Keller Elementary with the principal Tim Stonich. Again, another beautiful building that I was honored to be at during their grand opening, and no glitches there, and things are going well. And finally, Carl Sandburg, again, Heather Frazier being the principal at Carl Sandburg Elementary. There are still exterior parts of those buildings in the grounds in particular that continue to need work, and there's some basic punch list things inside the buildings, but they're definitely beautiful places to be. A little look at our student population. Again, as you could expect, given the reconfiguration, a drop in enrollment for our elementary schools and our middle schools and high schools, had an increase of enrollment, again, as expected. Maybe interesting to note, Juanita High School took on 25 new teachers this year, new to their building. Kamiakin Middle School took on 15 new teachers to their building. And Finn Hill Middle took on about 11 new principals to their building. All those buildings report just an excitement around having, as Ken said, 2/3 of the middle schools being new, half of the high school being new, a lot of new staff. There's just a wonderful energy around starting a new culture or creating the culture that's there and growing it. Things are going smoothly in the reconfiguration piece as well. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm David Larson, Director of School Support for the Lake Washington Learning Community. And I want you to know that the Directors of School Support are beginning their 7th year in our school district. And so we're pleased to have both John Holman and Dale Cody join our ranks. And Heather, I won't forget you. We love having you as our boss, too. Anyway, this is a picture of Lake Washington. As you know, it opened last year. Lake Washington has just over 1,400 kids this year. Not much places left to put kids there. It's pretty packed, but a lot of spirit, as you can see. They had an absolutely wonderful opening day. Amazing thing was being at both Kirkland and Rose Hill Middle School. You know, when you're an elementary principal and you see your 6th graders move on, you think, man, they're so old, they're so together, they're almost adult-like. They show up 2 months later in a middle school, 6th grade, and you're going, they can't be that small. It's just such a change of perception. Anyway, we have a lot of new administrators. You had a chance to meet them tonight. The only one you didn't meet was Michael Griffin. He's the associate principal at Rose Hill Middle. On the first day of school in his new job, he was greeted with the fact that his wife was calling him home. They were going to have a baby. So he left, and 18 hours later, we have Cooper, Kenneth, Brian, Griffin. So big baby, too, for her first one. So just like the others, you can see the enrollment. Probably one thing that's a little unique about the Lake Washington Learning Community, we have all sorts of choice schools. Lots and lots of them. You'll notice that Emerson High School and Emerson K-12 have been renamed, and that campus is doing quite well. You'll have a chance, hopefully, to get out there and look at the fact that North Star has been relocated. It's in a beautiful place. I mean, it's just gorgeous on the campus. You couldn't get at it for the month of August, but once you got there, it's pretty awesome. And then we've also added Audubon. As you know, we did the feeder bump a couple of years ago, and this is the first year that has Bell, as Dale said, going to Juanita, and Audubon coming to Lake Washington. For Lake Washington, outside of all the other required things that we're going to continue to do, we're still continuing with our teacher-led committees. We have about 6 of them in place right now. They're about their 4th year, and it's all teachers owning the agendas supported by the learning community budget. They meet across the entire learning community throughout the year, keep their own agendas, set their own goals, do their own assessments of them. Our modernization projects, as mentioned earlier, Lake Washington was finished and completed last year. We still have Ben Rush, North Star, and Rose Hill Middle School going through modernization. The other thing that we're going to begin as part of our SIP planning is one thing that has been struggling between how you hand off SIP plans from, say, your elementary level to your middle level, and from your middle level to your high school. How do you inform the teachers of the goals and the work of the kids that they've been working with when they come to your school? So we're building a process that's going to have between level times for teachers to be sharing goals around their SIP plans. So when you get a bunch of new kids from a different level, you actually know what the focus and the goals have been for those kids for the past couple of years. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Holman, Director of School Support for the Redmond Learning Community. I invited some of the Parks community to join me this evening. Welcome. So as you can see, those are the schools that represent the Redmond Learning Community. It's been a pleasure for me to get to know the administrators in this learning community over the past couple of months, and starting school has been just a pleasure to get back into schools and see school opening, and it's been a true joy. We also have some new administrators in the Redmond Learning Community. On the right-hand side there, that is Sean Cassidy. He's the new principal at Evergreen Middle School. He came over from Redmond Middle School, where he was the associate principal. This, on the left-hand side, is Matt Gillingham. He replaced Sean at Redmond Middle School as the associate principal. He came from the Shoreline School District, and he jumped in and has really hit the ground running. It's been nice for him to be able to actually collaborate with Sean on some of the things that he had going on prior to his leaving, and continue that work. At Redmond High School, we have Jeff Larson, who was hired on as the third associate principal at Redmond High School. He had been at Redmond High School for the last 10 years as a teacher and head basketball coach, and this has been a very smooth transition for him into this role, and again has hit the ground running with almost 1,880 students there at the high school. Here you can see the enrollment in the Redmond Learning Community. And a lot of the work that I've been doing with principals over the last couple of months is really identifying, what are the areas of focus that we want to work on. A lot of our conversations have been around really using multiple data points as we're thinking about students, as we're developing our continuous improvement plan, and how do we monitor that progress over time so that it's not just a one-time shot of setting goals and then a year later looking at, did we meet those results? But really thinking, being thoughtful about over time, do we actually have benchmarks throughout the school year so that we know, are we meeting our benchmarks or are we not? And if we aren't, what are we doing about that? There was also a number of schools in the Redmond Learning Community that went to the PLC Institute this summer. I had the pleasure of being at Mann Elementary for one of their LEAP days, where 3 of the staff members that went to the PLC Institute actually sang a song that they wrote about PLCs to the staff, but then actually got into a conversation with the staff about what it truly means to represent a school as a PLC school, and they all reconfirmed their commitment to be a PLC school and engage in that work throughout the school year. So that was actually pretty touching to observe. The administrators in the Redmond Learning Community are reading a book together called Leaders of Learning, and that relates directly back to, as a leader of a learning organization, how do you lead through continuous improvement? What types of data do you need to have in front of teachers so that that continuous improvement can happen throughout a school year and into the next year? In regards to effective teaching, the question 4 of PLCs is, what do you do when students already know it? And so we're going to take a deep dive into what are strategies that need to be in place so that students that already know some of the content that we're teaching them, how do we enrich that in the classroom so that they're not just sitting there receiving content or just participating in something they already know. And then, a continuous focus on providing feedback to our teachers. That's how our teachers grow. That's how we continue to provide rigorous instruction for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, and I much appreciate the report on the opening of school. It's always an exciting time of year, and appreciate your taking time at a busy time of year for all of you, and so and coming and sharing with us. And it was very nice to meet all the administrators earlier, our new folks. It's always nice to see them and get a chance to put a name and a face together. So appreciate having them come.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, and tonight, moving into our public comment period, we have from Kirkland City Council. Dave Asher is here with us. Dave, do you want to come to the middle one here? He's going to come there? Never mind. Dave, would you mind coming over to that one, please? Diane knows better what to direct here than me. He was here before. John. Yeah, John was somewhere else. He was in Central Office. What did John Cody do before? That's right. Edmonds. The organizational one, a little more detailed.
I'll leave this up on this view because I've had some problems flipping through slides. Good evening. I'm Dave Asher, a member of the Kirkland City Council. Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent, thank you for having the time to let me present a ballot measure that's important to schools and to a major community in this area. Kirkland Proposition 1 will be on the ballot in the general election in November. We listen to our community, and if you'll take a look at this, how we score the importance and the performance of various city services. This is a survey taken during February this past year. For example, high performance of a very important city service, fire and emergency medical, it lines up. However, we have these areas of sort of must improve in the way that we've laid this out. Maintaining streets has been repeatedly in this area, and it's been repeatedly something that is so large that we have had real trouble tackling it because of how much money it costs. We did take a survey later in this May, and 73% of the citizens surveyed in a statistically significant survey said they would support increased taxes for roads and streets. You can see the areas down here with streets and sidewalks have some of the largest gaps in our survey. If we left our current funding going the way it is at about $2.5 million a year for street repair, the dollars to repair, the gap, would increase over 10 years to about $80 million as the condition of the streets goes down dramatically. This started out in 2007 at 73, and we were looking at, in the end of 10 years, down to 58. That's an impact on your rolling stock that you have, significant transportation resources also. In addition to that, school walk routes is something that Kirkland has worked on for over a decade to try to improve the safety of the school walk routes around elementary schools. In pre-annexation Kirkland, before you take into consideration, because we haven't finished the inventory of the Juanita, Finn Hill, and Kingsgate area, there's $120 million worth of sidewalks needed just in what we call pre-annexation Kirkland. 25% of the roads don't have sidewalks, and we still have the inventory left to go up in the annexation area. Our proposition and our approach is to, and we've put on the ballot, Proposition 1 for 20.4 cents per thousand. That comes out to less than $71 for the median household in Kirkland. And we allocate 90% to street improvements. And the way that Kirkland has adopted streets, we have a complete streets program that includes bike lanes as well as streets. And 10% goes to safe school walk routes and other pedestrian safety. We've dedicated 5% just for safe school walk routes. You have a flyer there. Would appreciate your consideration of this measure and would appreciate your support as we go through this ballot measure this year. If you have any questions.
No, we have two other people here to talk to the parks as well. Measure. So Dave is just speaking to us on the this
Just
one,
on the
right?
street improvements, that's
Yes.
correct. Yeah.
I guess this is more of a process question, so it really isn't a question to you, Dave, but it's about how we have to, what hoops we have to jump through as a board to be able to support a ballot measure. And I think we have to have a public
Yes.
hearing. And
Yeah,
that
and
sort
I
of
was
thing.
going to do that when they
Okay.
were through, but that's fine. Yeah, I'll do that now since you asked the question. At our next meeting in 2 weeks, we would hold a public hearing on both measures to see if the board is interested in taking a vote to endorse them. And so the meeting is set up to have a pros and cons both speak, and equal time has to be given to both sides to speak.
And that meeting, of course, has to be noticed in.
Right,
so-
and we need to put notice out for that to happen, so I'm hoping we could do that maybe a little earlier than we do for a normal board meeting, just to make sure that notice gets out. And then we can, once we have the public hearing, the board can take a vote on endorsement.
So you don't want any comments from us now? No?
No, I don't think we need comments. If anybody has any further question or want any further detail, you can either ask me or get me, and I can get it for you, or we can contact Dave.
Okay, well, just to reiterate, Dave, you said the safe routes to school, the levy would put $150,000 into it?
For a year.
For
each
1 year?
For each year. It's a
For
permanent
each
levy.
year of how many
Yes.
years?
It's a permanent levy. That'll be ongoing.
Ongoing, $150,000.
And that's in addition to what we are normally doing. But this is a dedicated part in the ballot measure.
So, Dave, and you might know the answer because you and I met over sidewalk issues years ago.
Certainly did.
My neighborhood, which is very old, has sidewalks.
Right.
Now, that doesn't keep people from parking their cars on it. So maybe now we're Kirkland, maybe the police can come by and ticket those people. Be my guest.
Certainly.
But do we now at least require new developments to put in sidewalks? I cannot believe between the development of my neighborhood and other developments, we had all these developments go in without sidewalks.
It generally depends on how the development comes in. If it's a one house, they may have to pay in some impact fee, but they wouldn't have to put in the full meal deal for sidewalks just for the face on that one particular piece of property. The cost effectiveness of trying to do it one lot at a time is a challenge. Yeah.
But if you're putting in a development.
Absolutely, we do require that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dave. Shelley, are you and Scott coming together or separately? You're coming together, okay.
Actually, I might not have answered that question properly. We would each like 3 minutes.
Yes.
Is that separately?
Yes.
All right, we have lots to say. Well, I won't do my timer. All right, so good evening.
It'll be
board.
over there.
I know. All right, my name is Shelley Kloba, and for the record, I live at 12525 93rd Avenue Northeast in Kirkland, and my daughter is a sophomore at Juanita High School this year. I've become acquainted with all of you through a variety of PTA and bond and levy committees involvement, but that's not exactly what brings me here today. In the last few months, I've begun working with an amazing group of people on the Yes for Great Kirkland Parks campaign. We're working on passage of Proposition 2, which is going to appear on the ballot for Kirkland residents in the November general election. And I'm a member of this committee, and we're here tonight to tell you about the ballot measure and to ask for your endorsement. And I just want to start by expressing my appreciation to the school board and the school district. Your excellent stewardship of public dollars and your relentless focus on what's best for children in our community is really important to me. In my role as a member of the Kirkland Parks Board, I'm aware of the common ground that the school district and the park district share. We're all in the business of protecting and promoting the health and well-being of children. And we each fill these crucial roles in building community by connecting friends, neighbors, and businesses together with a common purpose. And like the school district, the City of Kirkland has an excellent history of using levy and bond money exactly as the voters intended. So the success of city endeavors to provide top quality parks and recreational facilities to the community, along with your efforts to provide a top-notch educational system that meets the needs of every child, together, each of those things enhance the quality of life in our community. And since 2001, the City of Kirkland has had a successful partnership with the district, as you all know, revitalizing playfields on school grounds, providing safer, higher quality recreation opportunities. And the taxpayers have invested over $2.5 million in these improvements with this ongoing partnership. And many of these projects were funded from Kirkland's last voter-approved bond in park bond in 2002. And as well as that, the city is committed to providing ongoing maintenance to these school playfields, including safety inspections and mowing, irrigation, and general turf management. And that's all done by park department personnel. So this collaboration that we have together is a great benefit for school children during the day and for community members, general public throughout the evenings and weekends. And it's clear that the City of Kirkland and the school board appreciate each other's interlocking roles. And my colleague is going to present the levy in some detail. We've given the packet to you as well. But I just really wanted to lay that groundwork that, why this is an issue that we're encouraging you to take a position on. And of course, we certainly appreciate your support. So thank you.
And thank you, Shelley.
Would you like me here or there?
Why don't we finish here, since you're all on that side. We'll resume in the center when we move on.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Scott Morris. I live at 11184 Champagne Point Road in Kirkland's Finn Hill neighborhood. I am the co-chair of Yes for Great Kirkland Parks, and as Shelley noted, we're a citizens committee working for the passage of Kirkland Proposition 2, which will provide dedicated funding for the maintenance and enhancement of Kirkland Parks. I also served on a diverse group of Kirkland residents that formed the recommendations that are the basis for this measure, and I'd like to summarize its terms for you, and I will be brief. Proposition 2 will raise about $2.3 million a year from Kirkland citizens. It will cost the owner of a median value Kirkland home only about $56 a year. The levy proceeds will be applied solely to parks and playfields. Some of the projects that have already been identified include restoring park maintenance and operation service levels so that parks are safe and inviting, providing lifeguards at Houghton, Waverly, and Juanita beaches so the kids and adults can swim in safety, repairing and replacing aging docks and other lakeshore facilities, creating a bicycle and pedestrian trail along the old rail corridor that runs from Totem Lake to 520, funding the purchase of new parks in areas of Kirkland that need recreation and open space, and, as Shelley mentioned, funding an additional $1 million to support the Kirkland Lake Washington School District Playfield Partnership to upgrade school playfields for neighborhood and community use. All of these projects will be subject to annual audits and subject to annual or ongoing citizen review through the Kirkland Parks Board and through the publication of annual reports. The levy will provide significant benefits for Kirkland residents generally, but I think it's also clear that it will benefit the school district students in particular. It will give them safe, attractive places to play, to participate in sports, and to enjoy the outdoors. and parents value this. In Finn Hill, I've seen the parents at Sandburg Elementary band together to build a wonderful natural playground that the students were able to use while new classrooms were being built on the old play fields. Parents know that their kids will be happier and will perform better in the classroom if they have great places to play outside. This levy will enable the district and the city to work together to improve Kirkland parks and playfields. I hope you will endorse the measure, and thank you very much for your time.
And we thank you all, the three of you, for coming this evening. And again, just for folks out there listening, we will have a public hearing on this at our meeting in 2 weeks, which is September 24th, and our meeting is at 5:30 p.m. So folks who are interested in coming to speak for or against this measure before the board makes a decision, please mark your calendar and come then.
Jackie, can I ask a question?
Oh, and questions before you go?
So are either of these replacement levies? No, these are both new levies. Are both of these because of other budget cuts due to the economic downturn or new needs identified? They're kind of two different types of projects.
The Parks Department has suffered a cut in maintenance staff and certainly a substantial cut in capital improvements budgeting, about 38%, I believe. And that is covered in the fact sheet that you were given about the parks proposition.
And there was quite a effort from the city, I'm just going to speak from this separately from living over in Kirkland, of community, both through surveys and a community group that was widespread from all sections of and areas and participants in parks in the Kirkland area, coming together to put together what they believed the needs were, and they did a survey asking the community what they would really want, and that's what this was developed from.
On the street improvement and pedestrian safety end of it, the federal and state grant match that has historically helped us maintain the pavement condition is, the federal part is almost assuredly not going to come back. The state may, but it will be a very long time after we get education taken care of. So these will be ongoing, won't be replacement funds.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you. Thank you again. Okay, now, our next group of folks who are here to speak to us, and I'm just going to repeat, since we had a number of folks from the Rosa Parks community here last meeting that we had in August, and so I know you all know what the guidelines are, but I'll repeat them again so everybody, if you've got some new folks that are here to speak. We are going to limit you to 30 minutes, as we did last time, and I have far more people here that if you spoke 3 minutes apiece, then can have time. So I'm figuring you figured it out amongst yourselves how you want to do it. And again, 3 minutes per person max. And if you would tell us your name, we obviously know you're from the Rosa Parks attendance area. If you're from somewhere else, that would be nice if you would let us know that. And if you could, again, not be repetitive from one person to the other, that helps us in getting a broader picture of what all you have to say. And I will apologize up front if I mispronounce. I'm only going to do first names, but I apologize if I mess up on your name. Just correct me when you come up. Okay, so we'll start at 7:47, so you have until 8:17. And Heather is first. We're going to get you turned on
Your
here.
thing isn't on.
Hello.
Okay, there you are. And then Diane will deal with time, and off you go.
Heather Rosenberg, on behalf of Concerned Rosa Parks parents and community members, thank you for allowing us the time this evening. My husband and I are original owners in Redmond Ridge. We've lived there 10 years. Our son just started kindergarten, so I'm very excited to be using the Rosa Parks schools. That said, I would say we are very concerned about the enrollment at the Rosa Parks Elementary School. As you probably know, we are approaching almost 800 students in the school. Due to the grade shift this year, 2 6th grade classes and 4 5th grade classes moved to the middle school. We lost 6 classes and 158 students. At the same time, Rosa Parks gained 6 kindergarten classes and 120 students this year. This should have meant a net reduction of 38 students. We should have experienced a 5% decline in enrollment, when other schools in the district have seen a 10 to 20% reduction in enrollment. However, due to the growth of Redmond Ridge East, we actually gained an additional 50 to 60 students, with more families moving into the community all the time. This is the highest enrollment at an elementary school ever within the district. This enrollment is unprecedented. We anticipate even higher numbers throughout the school year and into next year. Currently, 1st, 3rd, and 5th grades all exceed the district's standard of service. No matter what short-term solutions are implemented this year, these numbers are unacceptable and greatly impact the student learning environment. The skyrocketing enrollment with no immediate solution in place reflects very poorly on the district's planning for our area. Something needs to be done for next year that significantly reduces the overall enrollment for Rosa Parks. Thank you.
Thank you. And do this in order. Beth?
Good evening. My name is Beth Zimmerman, and I'd like to first acknowledge and we appreciate Dr. Pierce's visit to Rosa Parks last week, and we appreciate her setting a date to meet with the community on September 27th to discuss a long-range plan and seek input on short-term solutions for the overcrowding at our school. And a reasonable question at this point might be, what exactly is meant by a short-term solution? Short-term solutions are listed in several district documents, including one titled Space Needs and Solutions, and District Communications Director Catherine Reith has described in a past Redmond Reporter article on overcrowding at Rosa Parks the following options as short-term solutions to ease overcrowding in elementary schools. 1, convert specialized classrooms to regular classrooms, eliminate full-day kindergarten, set new boundaries to balance enrollments, bus students from overcrowded schools to others that are less crowded, or add more portables up to the state's limits. We are aware that, according to Catherine Reith, that district documents, long-term solutions would be to build 1 or 2 more elementary schools, which may or may not be authorized by taxpayers to be funded in 2014 and possibly open in 2016. The problem the leadership of the Lake Washington School District has to solve is that 800 elementary schools are currently descending upon a facility built to accommodate 483, with a community well aware that significant empty space is readily available at nearby Wilder. We have been told since 2009 that the district is saving space at Wilder while Rosa Parks bursts at the seams. The community questions the district's plan to save space at Wilder for future development in the North Redmond area when there is such an emergency need now to reduce the overall enrollment at Rosa Parks. Research shows time and time again that large schools, such as Rosa Parks, have increased costs to the taxpayer, higher administrative overhead, increase in bullying, decrease in the sense of safety and connectedness, lower academic achievement, and decrease in extracurricular activity and participation. Why would a school board and superintendent consider any solution that keeps children in such an environment and does not significantly reduce overall enrollment? Why even include options that fail to provide school-wide relief, such as eliminating full-day kindergarten, busing a grade to a nearby school, or even adding more portables to join the unprecedented 10? The obvious solution for 2013-14, and one which is already on the district's short-term solution list, is solution number 3, set new boundaries to balance enrollments. As a result, a smaller size Rosa Parks, again, according to educational research from such organizations as the Gates Foundation and the Annenberg Institute, would increase student performance, create a more positive school climate that promotes safety, student engagement, and fewer disciplinary problems. A smaller size Rosa Parks would also be able to provide a more personalized learning environment with opportunities to form meaningful relationships with adults and peers, increase students' sense of belonging, have greater parent satisfaction, increase chances for success in high school and beyond, and cost efficiency, extremely important to both the taxpayer and district considering years of budget cuts and rising expenses. Isn't that the optimal learning environment the district leadership is responsible to provide in order to prepare all students to be future ready? Doing anything else is failing this country's future leaders. Thank you.
Is it Neha? Neha? Can you get that to pull that down? There you go.
Good evening, board members. My name is Neha Ramnath. I am in 5th grade. I go to Explorer Community Choice School in Emily Dickinson. From kindergarten to 4th grade, I was in Rosa Parks. For kindergarten to 3rd grade, I was inside the building. But for 4th grade, I was in the portables. I did not like the portables. They're thinking of adding 2 more, even though we already have 10. If they add 2 more, then our play place will get even smaller and smaller. And we have so less recess teachers that we're not even allowed to go play behind the portables, even though there's so much space there. I wish I was never in the portables. It gets very hot inside. It's too humid, so I couldn't think very well. Also, when all the kids were out for recess, it was too noisy, especially when we were taking tests like the MSP. Also, our classroom was so crowded that when we lined up for a specialist or recess, our line was long and curved. Another is going to the bathroom. You have to charge through the rain and walk through the hallway. Also, you have to get your coat, then walk down the ramp, because that's the rule. You miss a lot of class time. Another thing is the school plays. You have to pack up and go. Sometimes you get late because the classroom isn't clean and you have to help. You miss out on practice. I would like to share 2 of my personal experiences. These experiences relate to assemblies. One is having 2 assemblies. I got my first Courage Award and only my class saw me getting it. My best friends and my little sister didn't see me getting it. I wasn't very happy. The last thing is giving flowers. I couldn't give flowers to any of my best friends or my little sister because they are not in the same assembly. This is what I have to say about overcrowding in Rosa Parks. Thank you.
Thank you. And Julianne?
Good evening, Dr. Pierce and board directors. I'm Julianne Bogarty, mom to a Rosa Parks second grader and also a 3-year-old who's very excited, can't wait to attend the school. I'm also the past community liaison for Seattle Public Schools. Tonight I'd like to address the short-term rebalancing for Rosa Parks and Wilder and what the district has told us in the past. One reason the district has indicated reticence for a boundary adjustment in its eastern portion is to avoid changing boundaries twice for students living in Redmond Ridge East. While this is a laudable goal, it does not serve any of the nearly 800 students at Rosa Parks. Without a reboundary, or perhaps more accurately, a temporary relocation, all students will continue to experience at least several more years of severe overcrowding that hinders safety and learning every day. Dr. Pierce has also stated that drawing new boundary lines is a very complex process. But upon closer examination, determining boundaries for Rosa Parks is actually much simpler than in other parts of the district. This is because Redmond Ridge and Redmond Ridge East are 2 very distinct neighborhoods with separate governing ROAs and clear geographic bounds marked by main roadways and large forests. In a survey of 500 parents on the Sammamish Plateau, the district asked which criteria to use in evaluating potential new boundaries for elementaries. 65% of respondents prioritize the criterion of utilizing natural boundaries such as main thoroughfares and neighborhood and geographic boundaries. Temporarily relocating Redmond Ridge East students to Wilder would readily achieve this, keeping a self-contained community intact and allowing neighborhood kids to attend school together. 2 additional survey criteria also apply to Rosa Parks. 59% of respondents prioritize the need to, quote, minimize the number of students and families affected, i.e. the number of current students who would have to change schools, end quote. With Redmond Ridge East building out substantially over the next couple years, portioning it off now would reduce the number of students and families affected. A final and compelling survey result revealed that the most respondents, a full 77%, supported the following criterion, quote, redistribute enrollment numbers to match school capacity and to accommodate projected growth, ensuring that schools are equally close to their projected capacity to the extent possible, end quote. Thus, history shows that parents want enrollment redistributed to match capacity. Well, of course, we wouldn't expect a yearly rebalancing. Relocating Redmond Ridge East kids to Wilder in 2013-14 would immediately and effectively return Rosa Parks to a more manageable size. In the past, the district has considered and implemented similar rebalancing in other communities as a viable short-term solution to control excessive growth. I grew up in the North Shore District, which acted quickly to redistribute students in booming areas and maintain safe, reasonably sized schools. And finally, we've all heard from Dr. Pierce that a long-term plan is in place to address district-wide capacity. We agree that long-range planning and bond approval efforts are important, but not if they jeopardize the safety and educational development of 800 young kids entrusted to your care. We urge you to significantly reduce enrollment at Rosa Parks across all grade levels by 2013-14 as mitigations are no longer effective. Such action is long overdue. Our community expects it now. Our kids deserve no less. Thank you.
Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen Swenson, mom to a second grader at Rosa Parks and a sixth grader who spent 5 years there. As we mentioned last month at the board meeting, we are asking for a rebalancing of enrollment with Wilder, which is at 330 students now with declining enrollment down to potentially 285 next year. Meanwhile, Rosa Parks is near 800 students, and if development keeps occurring at the current pace in Redmond Ridge East, we may approach 900 students next year. Yes, that could be a reality. This number is completely unacceptable and beyond the realm of imagination for a functional elementary school. Over the past month, we've brainstormed various options on how to balance enrollment between Rosa Parks and Wilder. As you can see on the table that we passed out to you, we have made some calculations for these various options, including shifting various grades to Wilder as well as different neighborhoods to Wilder. We've also distributed a map to you to show the different neighborhoods in the Rosa Parks attendance area and the number of homes and associated students within each neighborhood, as well as the distance to Rosa Parks and Wilder from Redmond Ridge East. We are searching for a right-sized solution, which will return Rosa Parks to its optimal learning environment where all students eat in the commons, have one class in PE, have a large variety of before and after school activities, and have the district average of students out on the playground at recess. These were somewhat achievable in the 2010-11 school year when enrollment was 660 students. As the table shows, some of these options come close to the right-size solution, and we ask that these solutions or something similar is considered as a short-term solution for the 2013-14 school year. Those potential solutions that don't achieve this right size for Rosa Parks, allowing enrollment to stay in the 700s and beyond, should not be considered. As we have mentioned, sending only kindergarten to Wilder does not achieve this right size for Rosa Parks. We ask that any short-term solutions proposed by the district include forecasted enrollments, similar to what is presented here today, so we can understand the true impact of any decision being considered. The purpose for the Rosa Parks meeting with Dr. Pierce on the 27th is to, quote, to discuss the long-range plan for Rosa Parks and to seek feedback on potential short-term solutions that could be implemented in the 2013-14 school year to help address size concerns at the school. So we're all on the same page. We would like short-term and long-term defined. This distinction needs to be made for parents to plan for where they want to send their child to school, private school, variance, homeschool, and for families to determine if they want to move out of the area based on the overcrowding at Rosa Parks. These are choices that parents are considering right now due to no definitive solutions presented by the district to date to reduce enrollment at Rosa Parks. In order for parents of new kindergarten students to make a decision of where to send their child to kindergarten next year, a decision on a final solution for 2013 school year needs to be made by the end of January, before kindergarten registration. This gives the district only 4.5 months to complete the process of finding the right solution for Rosa Parks. Time is critical. Thank you.
And Zubair, is that correct?
Perfectly said.
Thank you.
Beautifully said. Greetings, President and Board. My name is Zubair Murtaza. I'm the parent and father of a second grader at Rosa Parks. I wish to talk about the overcrowding at Rosa Parks. I have deep respect for all the principles and needs and considerations you have to consider, the different angles and perspectives. So one thing that I did was talk to different parents about what are their needs and what are their perspectives, and put that down together and see what's an optimal solution. What are different solutions stack up against those needs and wants, trying to optimize a solution for everyone. And some of the ones that I put down were, for example, reducing overcrowding at Rosa Parks. That's the fundamental thing we're trying to solve. Minimizing the impact of changing boundaries on students and families, but also reducing the impact of future changes. The school experience, both in class, outside of class, and the extracurricular activities need to be considered for everyone, all parents, all students. And finally, the logistic and cost feasibility of each solution. I wish to run through that really quickly and then talk about 1 to 2 solutions that seem the most optimized for these needs and wants. So on the second sheet, if you pull out the 2 sheets that I had prepared for this, I put in a table these various needs and wants and different solutions being considered. For example, no rebalancing is an option 2. No rebalancing with just mitigations is a balance, is an option. The problem is we continue to have severe overcrowding, and we still have the huge compromises that everyone talked about in the school experience. We can also look at moving just kindergarten to Wilder. That continues to create overcrowding at Rosa Parks. While it's a good solution on many other fronts, because it mitigates many other considerations, the overcrowding still exists. So we do not think that's an optimal solution. Likewise, moving 4th and 5th grade to Wilder has similar issues. If you move all of Redmond Ridge East to Wilder, you have capacity constraints at Wilder. So we don't think that's an optimal solution either. The 2 solutions we think come closest to meeting most of the needs and wants are shown on the final page. Moving kindergarten and first to Wilder, or moving Redmond Ridge East, except Chandler, to Wilder. This balances both schools and reduces the overcrowding. It addresses boundary issues in terms of minimizing the change issues. For example, it goes to what parents said about we prefer to right-size schools than living in an overcrowded environment for multiple years. And this has precedents, successful precedents of doing this. There's also options to maintain the sense of community that students have as they move from one school to another, because they move as a cohort and they have the option to continue to stay in that school and experience that in Wilder if parents so choose. So I believe there's a way to mitigate that by giving parents options. I won't go through the rest of them because we're out of time, but I would say that this not only reduces the overcrowding capacity issue at Rosa Parks, it provides for the right balance of capacity at Wilder, so you can actually implement programs that require certain scale, and you can actually right-size classes that require certain scale and capacity to do so. My parting remark would be this. I've thought about this a lot. I'm a very logical person, trying to look at all the perspectives, all the considerations. And I feel like there's a burden of proof to prove why we should have a solution. And I would ask, I think the burden of proof is why shouldn't we come up with a solution if there is a good one? Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to try, and I hope I don't mess this name. Is it Gopi?
Perfect.
Thank you.
People are given different ways of, I'm Gopi. I'm the father of a first grader at Rosa Parks and an upcoming kindergartner at Rosa Parks who's playing with an iPhone over there. This is my second year of being a Rosa Parks parent, and so I'd like to put a name to the problems that students are facing. And this is basically, I'm presenting a story of a kid who basically went through Rosa Parks. It's a conglomeration of a bunch of stories of which I heard from different kids. So Jimmy basically is in class in kindergarten. He's having a beautiful time, and it's time for recess. His best friend is in a different grade. So Jimmy runs out, all his excitement, he's really excited. He doesn't know what game he's going to play, just rushes out of Rosa Parks into the play yard, and they usually meet at a specific location, which is the basketball hoops. So he rushes over to the basketball hoops, and there's his friend standing and waiting for him. They decide to play tag, and then as if there's a giant magnetic field that's created over there, a bunch of his friends come along and they start playing tag. There's no rules. Everybody's like, you're it, and then they start running. Everybody's running around. Just picture this excitement that's going on in the kid's brain. And then suddenly, the game is all off, and Jimmy discovers an earthworm So he said, hey kids, I found an earthworm. So you can imagine the excitement. And you got like 30 more kids rushing over to the spot trying to look at the earthworm. Now these are little budding scientists trying to explore what's happening with the earthworm. Suddenly someone remarks, oh wow, this is an earthworm and it's drying, it needs some water. I got it. Somebody rushes over to the water fountain, gets a cup of water, and comes safely and then drops it on the earthworm. And then somebody claims, oh, it's drinking it. Beautiful. So then they take a tall stake, walk it over to the edge of the bark, and drop it in the bark. Last one to the slide is a rotten egg. They run, right? We've all been through this. They run to the slide, and they have fun over there. By the time they're done with the recess, it's all very, very sane. They're all exhausted. They walk back to their rooms with stories to tell to the rest of the kids and to their parents for that evening. Now, rewind, fast forward to where we are today. This is what I heard from different kids at Rosa Parks today. Jimmy comes out of class waiting for his recess. He goes out and then he rushes to, oops, hold on, wait, you're not supposed to run on the playground because there are too many kids. So he walks slowly over to the basketball hoops and his friend and he decide to play tag. Oops, sorry, tag playing is not allowed. So they decide to just walk around the park. They slowly walk around the park and they discover an earthworm. And then Jimmy says, wow, I found an earthworm. And then the other kids in the commotion can't even hear it, so it's just Jimmy and his friend. His friend basically decides to go and get some water for the earthworm. They get water, they pour it on. Then Jimmy with a stick slowly lifts the earthworm, walks it over to the bark. Oops, wait, you're not supposed to go into the bark because you might get hurt with so many kids. So he just drops it on the grass. Last one to the slide is a rotten egg, and they start running. Sorry, you should not run in the parks. So they walk over to the slide. Wait, there's a queue. There's 50 kids standing in queue to get on the slide in a 20-minute recess. So they basically slowly stand in the queue. They go over. By the time they finish one round of their slide, recess is over. They walk back to class, full of energy, still brimming with energy, not exhausted, and that's basically a typical day in recess. I really implore the school board to give these kids what they deserve. Memories and moments that will make them proudly say that I'm a Puma. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen?
My name is Jen Boone, and my daughter started kindergarten the year Rosa Parks opened and is now in middle school. My son is in 4th grade, and my baby starts kindergarten next year. We know how the school used to be and what it has become. Overcrowding has been addressed in every possible way by Rosa Parks, but the school experience here is inferior to what it was designed to be. Parents and neighbors are baffled that an over-enrollment continues to be allowed. When my 4th grade son got in trouble for breaking the no hopscotch before the bell rule, I decided I needed to share my concerns with you. My son has trouble sitting still and being quiet in class. We walk to school every morning to get exercise for him. He needs movement breaks and exercise, but hopscotch before school? Nope. Game of tag? No running allowed. It's even in the school handbook. The play structure to work out your wiggles before the bell? No way. When you are one of 800 kids at Rosa Parks, built for far, far fewer, you have to move carefully, and the rules reflect efforts to keep kids safe. Don't come early. Stand in designated lines. Facing forward, military straight, so walking paths are clear and backpacks don't bump your friends over. 4th graders in portables 9 and 10 must stand on a single sidewalk of regular size, balancing on the right and left edges, while keeping the sidewalk path clear for walking in between the lines of kids. Don't worry, though, recess is coming. Except you share that time with so many other kids that safety rules hamper play there, too. 10 portable classrooms take up half the usable play space that was designed for half the kids trying to play there. Plus, teachers complain playing kids nearby bother learning kids in portables, so there's no playing near the portables either. So double the kids on half the original space makes quite a mob. Good luck finding your friends to play with. Better hope it doesn't rain this year. Kids have a covered basketball court to crowd into for shelter. No umbrellas allowed, of course. The library was once used as a choice for rainy day recess, but is now closed due to scheduling issues related to overcrowding. Students crowd together under the basketball shelter now. That's not very safe. No basketball on rainy days? When you're one of almost 300 kids each recess, you have to follow necessary rules for overcrowded conditions. Rosa Parks kids are hearing a lot of no lately, and it doesn't seem right to ask for help from the school board and hear it again. Even not yet seems alarmingly negligent as Rosa Parks numbers continue to climb. It doesn't have to be this way, especially when balancing enrollment with a nearby school with extra space, empty classrooms, and dwindling enrollment could make such a big difference. Reducing enrollment at Rosa Parks is urgently past due. 800 kids are squished together trying to make do the best they can, but it's unnecessary, and they are being gypped of normal play space and opportunity. The teachers and principals are overburdened. The parents are baffled that the school board refuses to help. Redistrict, rebalance, reorganize. It will be hard to explain to taxpayers you need more money to build when unused classrooms are 2 miles away. Thank you.
We have time for about one more person, so, and I don't know if you have anybody else that you wanted, how you wanted to finish up here.
Thank you. My name is April McLennan. I have 2 children who attend Rosa Parks. Like the rest of my community, I too am concerned of the climbing numbers of children and portables of our school. My sons have experienced their school's growing pains, from severe bullying to too many children on the playground for volunteers to keep up with, to a loss of very valuable time of services such as occupational therapy and speech services due to being housed in a portable, educated in a portable that's far away from their classroom services. This not only resulting is cutting his service time in half, but also a huge loss of valuable classroom time and enrichment. Being in a portable classroom also means longer trips to the lunchroom, and overcrowding means long bathroom lines. My child has medical needs, and having access to a nearby bathroom without a huge line to wait in is a necessity. Fortunately, many kids know him and allow him to skip ahead most times, but on occasion, accidents happen. In addition to the space on the playground, the portables have taken quite a bit of it. Teachers and students in portable classrooms have already experienced negative impacts on their ability to teach and learn due to playground noise. Children have been scolded and discouraged to play because they might interrupt portable classroom learning. The playground should be a fun and safe place for children to play, learn, and communicate. Last year, I chose to homeschool my son due to the problems that Rosa Parks has been experiencing. Surprisingly to many, this year we have chosen to place him back in school because he loves the teachers that are there, we love the teachers that are there, and the rest of the staff, working hard to create a learning environment for too many children. Though some may believe that adding more portables to classrooms is the answer to every growing school, this school already has 10 portable classrooms, which is too many. Adding more won't expand the lunchroom, library, computer lab, gym, restrooms, or hallways. It won't allow student body involvement at assemblies and events, and especially won't add playground space that provides the necessary valuable time for our children to release pent-up energy. And finally, portable classrooms eat up valuable time, forcing teachers and students to travel long distances for administrative tasks and special services. My son and all children deserve action to be taken. Please help Rosa Parks to be a school filled with enrichment and learning, not portables. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I think we're going to be done, and Dr. Pierce is going to also respond. I think this is part of her superintendent's report for this evening.
Yes.
That she had for us.
Yeah, thanks,
That's an update.
Jackie. Just want to again acknowledge those of you who are back tonight and were here at the earlier board meeting in August for public comment, and your passion for the school and your advocacy for your children is really coming through. I want to take just a moment to, and some of you did as well, acknowledge Tina Livingston, the principal at Parks, and Monica Garcia, the associate principal there, as well as the whole staff at Parks for the outstanding job that they're doing with students. I had the opportunity to be there on the first day of school, saw some of you there, saw firsthand the number of students on the campus, and also saw firsthand all of the logistics that Tina and her staff have in place around getting school started. In August, I assured you that we would have a meeting in September that would be inclusive of the Parks community, of all Parks parents, to discuss the situation and plans moving forward. On August 31st, I sent an email out to all Rosa Parks parents, and in that letter shared that on Thursday, September 27th, from 6:45 to 8:15, there will be a meeting at the school for Rosa Parks parents, and the purpose of that meeting is to discuss the long-range plan for Rosa Parks and to seek feedback on potential short-term solutions that could be implemented in the 13-14 school year to help address size concerns at the school. So at that meeting, we'll both be laying out the long-range plan, including the enrollment projections and what that looks like long-range, and discuss short-term potential solutions. And many of you have brainstormed potential solutions, and we're going to come prepared to that meeting to share some potential solutions and get feedback from the Parks parent community. We think it's important to have an inclusive process and an intentional process to get feedback from the parent community. We've done similar such processes through our budget feedback. They've been very successful and helpful for us in determining plans to move forward. So we will be laying out what's the long-term plan, what are some short-term solutions, and as the letter stated, those short-term solutions we're looking for implementation in 13-14.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody want anything else? Any other clarifying questions?
Not so much a question. I just wanted to make sure that the community knows we hear you, but as a board, we are not going to solve your problem by fiat. We're going to solve it through a process. That process has begun, and speaking as a parent, it will be maddeningly slow. But when we say that 2013, 2014, we're looking for short-term solutions, I would be very surprised, and I think that our board would be rather dismayed should there not be anything different come 2013, 2014. That said, we also, it won't serve your purposes to re-present the same details every time. A couple of weeks ago when you guys presented, I wanted to hear from somebody from Redmond Ridge East. I have yet to hear such people. It still feels like we have a community that's asking for you to move the other half of your school away. If you can bring them around to this, it will really help me believe that this is truly something everybody wants to solve. People coming here and clamoring for, please bus us to Wilder, would be fantastic. But I haven't heard that yet, and that's something new that I would like to hear from you next time if you're going to present again. I really don't think it will be productive for you to come back and present again that it's crowded. I agree with you. It's crowded. It's unacceptable. Unfortunately, the developer built a lot more houses than they built school. We're trying to deal with that. And we've got a year in which to try and solve it. This is not a time for debate. I'm just trying to let you know. You may communicate with me by email. This is not going to be a two-way conversation right now. But we do feel your pain, and it's going to be glacial. It's going to be frustrating. It's going to be slow. But we as a board are not going to solve this by writing a check that says, oh, by the way, move all those kids. Tracy is going to work with you as a community, and it will be a developed solution. It's not something that's going to happen before our next meeting, okay? It's something where we're hoping that you can work with her. I'm not going to take your question. This is not a conversation. This is just trying to provide feedback. No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, this is not a dialogue time, but please, you may communicate with the board either after the meeting
or in person,
or by email or phone.
Yes. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. This is something, I feel your frustration. I'm a parent. I know my problems. I know where every school has them. It is frustrating. And they're your kids. They're at risk. Personally, it's unacceptable to not be able to solve it this year. I mean, really, we've got a problem now. Why are we saying wait till 2013, 2014? But it's slow. Anyway, I'm just trying to say that we do hear your frustrations, but now is the time to work with the administration. Continued pressure on the board really isn't going to help us hear your problems any louder. We hear them. We do. Thank you.
Tracy, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I'm reading the letter that you sent to the Parks community on August 31st that I found on the school's website. So you have done some intermediate things, intermediary, well, whatever the word is. Yeah, thank you. Things right now prior even to the October or the September 27th meeting. So I'm looking at this because only 2 grades are going to recess at a time?
That's correct.
So that's restricting, so that's making it down to roughly 133 kids out at recess at a time, something like that. Okay, you guys, I know it's frustrating. This is the way board meetings are set up. We have a ton of business we have to get through. We're all available for discussion. I know you'd love to have discussion now, and we'd be here till midnight. We're just having a conversation among ourselves because it's our work session, and then the superintendent goes back and she takes all this stuff and then she gets back to us, and you guys can do the same. So I just want some clarification on that, and on some of these other things. I don't have to reiterate, you know your letter, that some things have been done to try and make things a little better right now, immediately, because of, you know, the impact.
Yeah, that's a good question, Nancy. So we've categorized it as there's a long-term plan, there's the short-term plan that would result in some things being implemented in 2013-14, and then it was what, if anything, could we do immediately for the 12-13 school year to help at all. So we met with Tina and John Holman, Director of School Support, and some others. John, interestingly, formerly served as principal at Smith Elementary, and Smith is one of our schools who has been in a similar situation. Smith got up to 795 at one time, so he's been helpful in helping us think through, at that time when they were that large at Smith, what were some things that would be helpful in terms of additional aid time, structuring recess, just providing some funding support, and then, of course, we've got additional associate principal support. None of these things reduce the number of students that are enrolled at this school, and we know that. But what we wanted to do is see what, if anything, could we do immediately for 12-13 school year to provide any assistance to the school, knowing that the next step is short-term plan, and then, of course, there's long-term plan.
Siri or Doug, do you have any comments, questions?
Just the one point that was brought up is to pay attention to the fact of when kindergarten registration does occur and looking at that short-term plan and keeping that in mind, I do think is very valuable, especially for parents in that community. And as been pointed out, it has been a long-term problem that has been there. So it's important it's being addressed now and that there is a process in place. And the more we can move on it, the better.
Doug, anything?
No, except that I've gone through what many people here are experiencing on the plateau, and it's not fun. And but I think everything that the superintendent and the board president have said can be taken to heart. That there will be action. It's, as Chris said, it's frustratingly slow. But it takes time to get some of these things worked out, and but I don't think I think I can sit here and say that no one in this district is ignoring what you have to say. But as Chris said, it takes a lot. It's a lot slower process than any of us would like.
Yeah, and I don't want anyone to go away thinking that there won't be a solution. It will come. It will come before. I'm sure kindergarten registration next year, so folks will know and plan for the following year of where they might be moving, if that becomes a choice that is made by the community. But I do believe it's important that the entire community, both Redmond, Ridge, East, and West, are involved in the decision-making, and I think that's what Tracy's trying to do with meeting and getting the information and making sure that the entire community is heard. And then a decision will be made from there. And the most important thing is it's got to be what's the best thing for the kids in the long run. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that's not part of this group that wanted to speak to the board on a totally different subject that didn't get a chance to sign up? Not if you're going to talk about anything about this or about the board. I'll have you talk with them later. Wendy, did you have something? Would you please come forward? I think he's here. sorry.
I don't have the mic. There we go. My name's Wendy DeLong. I'm from the Juanita area, and but I'm here right this moment, unplanned, as a member of the Lake Washington Citizens Levy and Bond Committee. And I would like to say to those folks who are here from Rosa Parks, we tried to pass the bond issue in 2010. That failed, which would have included the money for that extra school up there. Our next bond comes in 2014, and I would expect every parent up at Rosa Parks to be out there helping us with this campaign so that we can pass the bond and we can get you your new school. That's all.
On to our agenda. Consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, Tracy, would you please poll the board?
Chris?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Siri? Yes. Doug?
Yes.
And did you want to do donations?
Donations, yes.
Tab 18. Our donations
Two
for...
very generous donations this evening. We have, and maybe since this is our first board meeting of the new school year, even though we had a meeting in August, it might be helpful just to reiterate how we deal with donations. So individuals or groups periodically desire to make donations or grants to our school district. And such donations and grants which exceed $1,000 are submitted for board approval. So at our meeting each month or each meeting, we put those donations on our agenda, and also gives us an opportunity to recognize the generosity of our communities. So tonight we've got an $1,850 donation from the Lake Washington Schools Foundation to the Lake Washington School District to support better schools and targeted assistance, that's our intervention strategies for students, and also $1,429.21 donation from Lakeview PTSA to Lakeview Elementary to purchase playground equipment, blower, and some instructional materials. So total tonight is $3,279.21.
I love that. I always like the little pennies. In addition, in front of you is my annual spreadsheet on what we have received. It's a 5-year list of totals of donations that we have approved at the board level. Certainly, as I always say, I think this is just a tip of the iceberg of what is actually donated when you go back to the classroom in dollar amounts that are less than $1,000 that don't have to come here to be approved, A, and B, all the volunteer time that mounts up to a huge, huge amount. And so anyway, I just break it out accordingly to the various clumps of groups of people that have given. And I was seeing our PTSA folks here. It was over $683,000 this year, which was up from the prior year, which was $677,000. So continued, even in these tough times, our PTAs just are still able to get the things together and the fundraising and contributions from their families, because they know what's important is to help provide things at the school that aren't there, that we don't have funds for. But we have other parent groups that have given money in our booster clubs, and this is the first year I separated the booster clubs, partly because they're giving more money, and I think a lot of that is in response to supporting sports as funding has decreased, and to help support the funds for students for fees. So it was over $53,000 and for that, and then the rest of that you can read yourself. But the total was of $1,292,635,000 this year.
Are you going to email it to us?
I can send it.
Thank you.
Yes, I will email it to you, Ms. Nancy. So we thank all these people who have contributed. So we have consent agenda now.
And non-consent.
Yes, non-consent.
Non-consent, I'm sorry. Whatever that is, graduation requirements.
Yes.
That's where we're at.
So tab 19 is where we are, and we've got some modifications to our graduation requirement policy to consider this evening. So to bring us back to June 2011, our district policy was updated to reflect new credit-based graduation requirements. Specifically, beginning with the class of 2016, students are required to earn 2 credits in the same world language. This requirement, as you recall, aligns with the minimum requirements for college entrance. And as a district, we want to ensure that students graduate from our system meeting minimum college eligibility requirements. So Lake Washington School District is now one of 6 districts in Washington State who have a 2-credit world language requirement in place. So other districts are Bellingham, La Center, Marysville, Toledo, and Tukwila, and Wahkiakum has a 1-credit world language requirement in place. So that was already brought before the board in June 2011, and we adopted that into policy. When we adopted the new requirement in June 2011, we also discussed that we wanted to have options in place for students to ensure that there was some flexibility with respect to the world language requirements. So we are now have made some revisions to our policy to reflect those options. The first part of this is just with the previously approved 3rd math credit, which is part of now the state minimum graduation requirements. We want to have flexibility for students whose post-secondary plans do not require 2 years of world language. So if a student is specifically planning for a post-secondary that is not a 4-year college that requires 2 years of world language, we have some flexibility built into our policy, just like we do for the 3rd math credit. So our proposed policy language states that a student may elect to pursue credit in other areas, in areas other than world language if the choice is based on a career-oriented course of study identified in the student's high school and beyond plan. To do so, the student's parent, guardian, or designee must agree that credit in other areas is more appropriate than world language because it better serves the student's career goals. A meeting must be held with the student, the parent or guardian or designee, and a high school representative to discuss and sign a form acknowledging that they understand the world language credit requirement is a college entrance requirement, and that they believe that other alternate course selections are more appropriate given the student's educational and career goals. That's the exact same policy language that we have in place around the 3rd math credit, following all of the guidelines from the State Board of Education. The underlying idea here is that that school, teachers, counselors, administrators aren't making those determinations for students, but the student and the family is making the determination that essentially they're making an informed decision about if I don't take this 3rd math credit, or if I take something other than Algebra 2 to substitute for that 3rd math credit, or if I want to take other credits other than world language, they're making that intentional decision knowing that those are college entrance requirements. Okay. There's another aspect to world language. The next part is around proficiency credit. So I don't know, do you want me to keep going, or do you want to see if there's any questions around?
Why don't we do it piece by section by section, might be easier.
Okay, so any questions or clarification around the...
Just a real quickie, we basically borrowed this language from the math exemption.
That's correct.
Okay.
So it's essentially the same language as we currently have for the 3rd math credit.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to make this comment, but I think, I think this is moving in the right direction. I think that, all our students are different. Not all of them are going to a 4-year college. And so I think this allows some flexibility. And I think it allows more students to be successful as well. Although at the same time, I just came back from Iceland, and there are probably, I don't think I've met too many people that didn't speak at least 3 languages.
I know.
And because no one speaks Icelandic. And so it's important as in the world economy that people learn more than one language. But I think, again, this recognizes that all our students are different, and that, that we need to allow this flexibility, so I think it's a good idea.
But even just building on what you said, they also start their languages much earlier than we do. So it would be
Absolutely.
great if that is sometime in the future we start looking at earlier language introduction.
Yes, that is exactly what we need to do.
And just a comment on that as an aside, I think we agree that, having students exposed to language early on is a good idea. But if you look into what, for example, the University of Washington says around their language requirements, they want at least one of those 2 credits to be earned at the high school level. So even if we started Spanish in kindergarten, I'm just using Spanish as an example, and taught it all the way through, and we have world language, the first year of that Spanish available at the middle level. Let's say we've done all kinds of exposure, and then that credit-bearing class at the middle level, they still want that second year of world language to be at the high school level. So it's interesting as we've looked at, aligning our requirements with college eligibility. Because, for example, right now, if a student earned 2 credits in middle school, which they could bring up according to the WAC language, the college is saying, we want one of those credits to be at the high school level, like at a 9-12 setting.
So it sounds like there's advocacy work at the college level to recognize it as well.
What they really want, though, is proficiency. So if we were starting to teach it early and had an immersion program, those students would be able to prove proficiency. So we would be able to move that bridge then. Which is and the colleges allow you to do that too, because my daughter was able to test out of her college level requirement for Spanish, and she never took high school Spanish except going back, getting credit, taking it with the same teacher she'd been doing it with since 4th grade.
And regardless, the value of speaking a language, regardless of whether you go to university, is really where, because your understanding of culture and changes is huge, especially within our world as we are now.
But the proficiency comes when you start learning it early, and the brain benefits are from learning it early.
Right.
Her pot of gold at the end of the rainbow will help us find a way to do it.
Want me to die happy, don't you?
Districts have, I'm sure we could.
But that's a good segue into the next part of the policy, I think, around proficiency competency. So another flexibility aspect to the world language requirement is what the state board has done together with WASDA and OSPI in terms of developing a model policy for proficiency competency. So they adopted a policy recommendation to enable districts to award competency-based credit in the area of world language. So we're only talking about the area of world language at this point. The policy provides additional flexibility, just want to make that clear, for students to earn recognition and credit for world language skills acquired outside of the classroom, and it ensures there's a rigorous and fair process to assess world language knowledge and skills. So specifically, our proposed policy, borrowing this language that SBE and WASDA and OSPI developed, is that in our state's diverse communities, it's not unusual for students to have various opportunities to develop language skills, for example, through experiences of using the language at home, attendance at language programs offered in the community, learning online, or time spent living abroad. Students may seek credit in world language through such language learning opportunities available to them. Students who wish to pursue competency proficiency credit must sign up and pay a fee to participate in Washington World Language Assessment Days. Through this state-sponsored program, students complete an assessment and receive a certificate of recognition signed by OSPI and the State Board of Education with a cover letter indicating proficiency levels attained in the tested language and high school equivalencies based on the state's recommendation for competency-based credit. So students participate in either a stamp assessment or an ACTFL assessment. So this is all done outside of the district. They sign up, they go participate at, believe many of the locations are at colleges and universities. They participate in the test as it's administered there. They receive a certificate that says where they scored on this test from novice, mid, novice high, intermediate low, intermediate mid, and then how many credits that equates to. So they will be able to bring now that certificate back to us to earn credit in world language.
On the STAMP, how many languages are available in STAMP? I mean, it includes a number that are outside of our district, right?
Can you repeat that one more time?
How many languages? I mean, do we have German? Do we have, I mean...
I would have to go back out on the World Language Assessment site to verify that, but there's multiple languages,
Anyway,
and
I'm
some of them
enthused
use
about that.
STAMP and some of them use ACTFL.
Okay.
And I think it just depends on which, the assessment providers, which languages they've developed an assessment for.
So this would meet our credit requirements, but you're saying it will not meet the four-year college requirements?
I think there is a question mark there. So originally, this was developed for, not just for, but to accommodate heritage speakers. So if I'm a native Spanish-speaking student, do I really need to take 2 years of Spanish or a language? I'm already speaking 2 languages. So this would allow me, instead of having to, and I might need to be an ELL as well. I might need to have my time in school more spent learning English than a different language. So now I can participate in this and earn my world language credit, and it frees up some space in my schedule. So back to Nancy's point, I'm not sure if then colleges would look at that and there's a test out or there's a proficiency. I was only speaking to, I had checked this recently for someone who was asking about credit at the middle level versus credit at the high school level. And I went on to the University of Washington site, and there's that language specifically about having one of the credits earned at a high school level. Right. So I don't know at this point what this means for college entrance.
Well, and if the board, if this moves forward with the Board of Education, then the colleges may adjust. I'm assuming this is requiring not only spoken proficiency, but also written proficiency.
My understanding of the STAMP assessments and the ACTFL assessments is there's both.
It's all three: reading, writing, and listening.
Okay, because we do have students who come speaking, but not necessarily reading and writing their native language if they come here before their schooling.
The other question I had on it was if somebody takes a course at the community college and it's credit bearing, do they still have to do the STAMP assessment, or is that different, meaning that they already come in or you take an online course and you can do it that way as a credit equivalency? It wasn't clear to me.
So there's a part of our policy about equivalency. So we're going to get to that in a minute when we're talking about PE. There's a part of our policy around outside credit from accredited institutions. So in that example, if I'm taking something at the community college or online and from a credit-bearing accredited institution, I can ask to bring that credit in, and we do have a limit of 3 outside credits.
Okay.
For our current policy.
The other question is, if it costs money in which to take this test, to test out, will we have scholarships available to students who are in need of being able to do so, in being able to test out of it?
That is a really good question, not one that we have talked about yet, so I will put that on our
I would urge that
list.
that is made readily available.
And maybe something we can talk with the foundation about, or...
Or through the Access Fund that's already in place, just make sure that it's a component that students realize as a possibility.
Because the Access Fund could possibly pay for that. It's a fee.
Okay. So moving on now from world language. In addition to the world language, there's also several modifications we need to make to our policy language to ensure that it reflects the changes made by State Board of Education to WAC language in 2011. And this is specifically pertaining to the class of 2016 and beyond, so freshmen entering 9th grade in 2012, so this year's 9th graders. These changes do not affect the credit-based requirements for our students for the class of 2016 that are currently reflected in the policy that we adopted in June 2011. While the State Board at that time in November, they increased the minimum state credit-based graduation requirements in the areas of English and social studies. We've had those requirements in place for a number of years. So there's other districts who are working right now to implement the fourth English credit. We've already had a fourth English credit in place for years and years. However, SBE also made some changes to the WAC language associated with PE and social studies, and we've talked a little bit about PE over the last year and a half or so. So we're going to talk about it again tonight, and we're actually having now the modifications to the policy to reflect the new practice moving forward. So again, these changes don't affect the number of credits required in social studies or in PE, but we need to update our policy to reflect the updated WAC language. So first we're going to talk about social studies. The WAC language pertaining to social studies has been modified from requiring 2.5 credits in the following way: a credit of U.S. history and government, a half a credit in Washington State history and government, and 1 credit in contemporary world history, geography, and problems. They're changing it from that to requiring 3 credits, 1 in U.S. history, 1 in contemporary world history, geography, and problems, a half a credit in civics, and a half a credit in social studies elective. The new language specifies a non-credit requirement for the completion of Washington State history and government, which has to be noted on the student's transcript, but that's not a credit-bearing requirement around Washington State history and government. Our current middle school social studies curriculum enables students to meet that requirement. So if you are in our system, you'll meet the requirement based on the curriculum in 8th grade. There's also a caveat in the WAC that if a student has moved from another state and has met their specific state's history and government requirement, then they don't have to meet it again here. So there's some caveats in that.
Having grown up in California, I don't recall any requirement to understand California. So if you come from a state that doesn't have such a requirement, have we got some bypass that lets kids not waste time taking Washington government as a class? I mean, is there like an online supplement that they can do?
We do have an online option
Washington
for
history.
students.
I'm sorry, it's so important to the world. No, but I'm grumpy tonight. That's a complete waste of time.
I know where the missions are in California.
Yeah, well, I know where the missions are, and I know the names of all of them. I've been to most of them, but that's the whole thing. I made my mission out of macrame in 4th grade. I mean, does that count as a history requirement?
Well,
anyway, I just like to make sure we interpret this as liberally as possible, so some poor kid moving here doesn't have to do.
Well, and the good news is it used to be a credit requirement,
I know,
and
and
now it's a MET. So.
I'm glad it is not a requirement.
Well, and especially, I'm with Chris. If they move here in high school and they didn't have that in their state, what, are we going to make them take it?
I'm not.
You know, I would think there'd be a caveat there. That would be my question, is those are the kids that would be,
I will double
they
check
don't
on
have
that
their
for
own
us.
state, they're here in high school, and they want to get all their credits in, and that's not an elective they want to take.
Wait a minute, I thought we made it so that they could just take that online class and they didn't have to tie up their credits.
If they can, then let's make it explicit and be done with it.
I thought we'd already done that.
It is available online, and we do have students taking advantage of the online Washington State history today.
Because we currently have students who would have come here from other countries who would not have had a state.
Yeah.
And are graduating, I'm assuming, as well, but maybe came in 10th
We
grade.
did it
What are
several
we doing
years
for them?
ago just to accommodate the kids moving into the state.
But that's when it was a credit, and now that it's not, I think it just needs to be more aware that regardless if it's not a credit, they still have to do it. And that may be the piece that people are saying, wait a minute, if it's not a credit, why do I have to do
Been
this?
having to
Just check a
understand
box.
our treaty laws and our constitution, which has some unique points.
The People's Republic of Washington, I know.
I will double check what the WAC.
Fine.
State Board of
Let's move to
Health
the
is
next
in our
section.
Constitution.
Okay. So just one final thing
Oh,
on
maybe
social
let's not.
studies.
He's been such a pain.
One final thing on social studies is that we do have on our work plan for this year to do some work with our high schools in terms of aligning coursework to the new requirements for our class of 2016.
Great.
Okay, so now moving on to PE.
I'm in favor of this one.
Okay. I'm going to get all the
I
way
love
through
this.
it and try to do my best to explain it. So the WAC language pertaining to individual students seeking to be excused from PE has been modified. Specifically, there is an RCW that states the following: individual students may be excused from participating in physical education otherwise required on account of physical disability, employment, or religious belief, or because of participation in directed athletics or military science and tactics, or for other good cause. Previously, the WAC then went on to say that such excused students shall be required to substitute equivalency credits. The new WAC language has eliminated the equivalency credit language as it pertains to PE. Beginning with the class of 2016, the WAC says such excused students shall be required to demonstrate proficiency competency in the knowledge portion of the fitness requirement in accordance with written district policy. Therefore, students seeking to be excused from PE under the provisions outlined in the RCW will be required to take a pen and paper assessment designed to show their proficiency competency in the knowledge portion of the fitness requirement. While students do not earn credit for the assessment allows them to meet the requirement to demonstrate competency in the knowledge portion of the fitness requirement, and they will then need to earn credit in an elective area or another area to ensure that they're meeting the overall minimum 22 credit requirement. So it's different from the world language proficiency competency in that if I'm participating in world language assessment days, I'm earning credit. If I ask to be excused from PE based on the reasons outlined in RCW, I'm required to take an assessment that shows I've met proficiency competency and I've got some extra space freed up in my schedule to take something else. So I'm not earning PE credit. We've got updated forms in our policy and that you saw in your materials that will help clarify this and that students need to complete. They'll be available on the district website, and they're different for the classes of 2013 to 2015 compared to 2016.
Do we have any similar language for health at the high school
There
level?
is no, and the WAC actually says really specifically, you cannot be excused from health. There's nothing enabling
Used to
students
be able
to
to.
ask to be
Or
excused
did we
from
just
health.
pretend that you
I think it was
could?
the same waiver.
Right now, a lot of people do an online course. What would
There's
be great
online?
for health is if we could just give a list of courses that are already district approved to do online, so you don't have to do the ridiculous 4 pages.
Or if we
every
just had a
single student
competency exam.
to do this.
I mean, health is one of those ones we could really do a competency exam
Wait.
for.
I'm not quite done with PE yet.
PE.
Oh, good grief.
Yes, back to PE.
Back to the PE. Who's developing the assessment, and when will that be available? What's the?
Oh, I'm sure it's OSPI.
That is great. There are some good classroom-based assessments available in OSPI. Linda Stevens, our Director of Curriculum and Assessment, will be working to get that developed and involving some others. So we have a good assessment in place, and then what we still need to outline is the exact process for when does that test administration happen, how does it get
So when that's
graded. All of those things are next steps.
Yeah, I don't want to spring this on you, but I just want to get a sense when you've got more information, how that is going to be rolled out.
Also, would there be study materials one, and the class of 2013 is gone in June. So any student there, so what will happen with them?
Well, and
I mean, many have completed. I know people who are not taking honors classes right now to take PE.
So can I want to speak to Siri's question before we move on, and I know, Chris, you had some things too, but before I lose that, I did want to highlight that we made an adjustment to class of 2013 to 15 language. So if I could have you turn to, these pages aren't numbered, but if you can find the 2 health and fitness credits for the class of 2013 to 15, there's a couple highlighted portions here. Third page in, thank you. Okay, so this speaks to the current process of equivalency credit. But I know, because we've been talking about this for the past 2 years and people have been waiting for this to come, it was not clear until the WAC language got updated that this is specifically for the class of 2016. So in the spirit of providing flexibility in a way that we think is fair to families, if you're in the class of 2013 to 15, we're not going to take away the equivalency credit option because that is still in WAC. But we did write in as an alternative to equivalency credit, students may choose to demonstrate proficiency competency through participation in the assessment. So we wanted to make the assessment option available to students in the class of 2013-15, knowing that we probably have an expectation from some families that that would be in place. But what is very clear is that equivalency credit option goes away with the class of 2016, and their only option is the assessment.
And so for equivalency credit, just to clarify for the class of 2013, 2014, 2015, if they are in a school athletic, do they have to fill out Appendix B, which is 5 pages long?
Yes.
And ridiculous.
So let me,
honestly, if we already know this and we're going to approve it for anybody who is district athletics, why don't we make a simplified form that this is it,
if
we
you
approve
look
it?
at our equivalency credit form specifically says that that's for educational experiences happening away from it, even I don't have it off the top of my head, but like property owned by the district. What that's really for is the intent of that is, say I participate in Pacific Northwest Ballet, and I would like to request equivalency credit for PE. That's something that's happening outside. I'm asking for that if the RCW says I may ask to be excused because physical disability, employment, religious belief, participation in directed athletics. And so I could say I'm participating in directed athletics at Pacific Northwest Ballet, and so that gives me a reason to ask to be excused from PE, and then I need to ask for equivalency credit. But the equivalency credit policy is very clear about that has to happen outside of school. We don't grant credit, and this was the whole thing that we discussed last year, for students participating in school sports.
So are they waiving it for, are they being excused from PE then if they do a school sport?
So
I'm sorry.
No, I know.
I don't mean not to be clear. I just want to make it as easy for.
Right. So the other thing that the new WAC language struck through was this idea that directed athletics is defined as community-based athletics. So they used to be specific about its community-based athletics. That's gone away. So I believe that if an individual student could say, I'm participating in directed athletics at the school, and I'm asking to be excused from PE, then the question would be, okay, that if we say, yep, you can be excused from PE, what are you going to do to get equivalency credit? Because we're not going to grant you credit for participating in school-based athletics.
Okay, so this is a problem for your class of 2013.
Or they could do the assessment. So they've got two options.
So then you just have to make sure that assessment is accessible well enough in advance for that group to be able to graduate, because that's...
Absolutely.
Because what's happened, especially with the class of 2013, is the past has been you just wait, and then you waive all, that's how it was done. That's what we were told when we went into the school. It's what you're told when you came out. So I think we have to be very careful right now with this piece and realize what the spirit of it is.
We agree.
And make sure we make it as easy as possible for these kids, because to jump more hoops, which really aren't a value for them, seems a little bit not beneficial for them.
Going into all of this in planning for reconfiguration, we identified that we had inconsistent practice in this area, and we were still grappling with what are we going to do when the state board said, here's clarifying language, which really was very helpful to us. But knowing that that's our goal was to have everything cleaned up for the classes of 2015 and 16 as they're coming into high school, knowing that we have kids in the chute who are currently seniors, currently juniors, and we've been telling people different things over the course of the years, not in a just that there hasn't been clarity. And we as a district, I'm not pointing fingers at any of the high schools here, because we as a district haven't been very clear with how all of this works. And the whole planning for reconfiguration gave us the opportunity to look at what does our policy really say, what does the WAC really say, and let's have consistency across schools. And now we even have more guidance from state boards. So we're very cognizant of the flexibility needed for our seniors and
But I
juniors.
would say it is clear. Thank you for putting together what's there. Those forms are much simpler. It's much easier to look at what needs to happen for 2013, 2015. I do think it's those 2 years of 2013 and 2014 because of, so it's a grandfathering concept that we need to be looking at and paying attention to, because you'd hate to have that kid in April where you say, oh, bummer, you don't have a PE credit.
Yep. Yep.
And we just need to make sure that it's clear. I just know that messaging to parents has been very different than what's being told, so.
And
So this is actually playing into my two thoughts on it. The first is that the language of our policy, the revised language, currently leads with Appendix B and then says, oh, and you can also substitute by taking the, I would lead with the easiest option and then say, and if you want to do it the hard way, here's, fill out Appendix B and et cetera. Just as helping people start from the easiest option. The other thing is just in terms of making things easy, I think we should definitely in our policy make it explicit that participation in a school-sanctioned sport qualifies. It doesn't currently say that that's directed athletics. We should, as a district, declare upfront, school-sanctioned teams are a...
Yeah, you could put that in parentheses.
And I'd actually, I mean, that's the one I think we absolutely there's no reason we shouldn't. The one that I think I would debate is we've got a whole bunch of very well-organized leagues where we could actually call out, here are local leagues where we already acknowledge them as adequate. Anything beyond that, you have to fill out some paperwork. But for these leagues, I mean, whether it's the local select basketball, baseball, God help us, at least soccer.
Well, they're pretty simple forms, though.
They aren't.
I mean, these,
Those are, things, but the equivalency credit, it's not.
Yeah.
It really, we copy them from, we plagiarize. We take them from other parents and put it through.
One of the things I think we have to balance in this is there is a minimum graduation requirement around PE, and PE is an important part of our instructional program. And the spirit of the RCW and the WAC is around individual students who, for good reasons, are asking to be excused from PE. So when we start doing blanket things, I feel like we're not quite dealing with the spirit of this is about individual students and looking at the 24 spots that they have in 4 years to earn their 22 credits, and where is it difficult for them to earn their PE credit because of physical disability or because of but it's really an individual student basis versus sort of.
They reinvent the.
Well, one of the reasons why we even have a PE requirement is because for over a century in this country, we have recognized the need for people to develop a lifetime fitness. It's important for health. And so the whole point of this exception is they still need to demonstrate some proficiency and competency, and I'm assuming this is going to be around lifetime fitness and health issues.
There are
which
standards.
are not necessarily going to be covered in your sports activities. It may or may not be. I mean, sports are all over the board in terms of how much they address that. But that's the whole goal of health and fitness. I mean, even when they did ed reform, health and fitness is one of the 8 pillars of ed reform. I mean, and it's not because it isn't, it is important. Our problem is our kids can't get all these classes in. So we need to make it possible for them to demonstrate knowledge without seat time in some of these areas.
Right, I mean, absolutely, that's makes perfect sense, but I do think, I mean, I would second with Chris in the idea of the flexibility component. It's more of a policy concept. It's the idea with health, what things can you already take online? And those would fulfill that requirement instead of having to do more paperwork. I see paperwork as a barrier. Some of us are very good at paperwork, some of us aren't. I think it puts up, so the least barriers we can establish for kids to be able to have that flexibility to pursue the coursework they want to pursue and still meet the requirements they're required to meet, I think we're doing the best service for our students possible. So I think having the competency test that proves the knowledge, and then at the same time you say, these are different things that will excuse you, if you so choose, to go through and fill out the one-page form. Absolutely. Not that bad. Online, print it, turn it in.
But it's got a map for them as
But-
opposed to a generic concept.
But
You
does-
could do something.
But does that need to be in the policy, or, because most people are not reading this policy to figure this out.
I'm happy to put it online.
I'm going to my counselor, and I'm sitting there saying, I need to get out of PE. How do we do this? And they should have the list of, and that's part of their role.
I would
in my
rather
mind.
have it on the web
Online,
page.
yeah.
I think we have it in both places, but oftentimes the conversation does begin with students and counselors. It may not for everyone, but it does. And they're often there to help them and guide them, and they ought to have that same material in front of them as we have on the web.
Absolutely. But it's a challenge sometimes to get in to see your counselor.
Well, it's not everywhere, so that, we've got more than one
They're
school,
not going to get this
and more than one
exemption without
experience.
seeing their counselor anyway.
This is something, the counselor piece of it, I've already encountered this. I haven't even got a high schooler. I've got word of mouth from other parents. Word of mouth from other parents is a terrible way to distribute policy. You really would like to have something that you can go to on the district website and says, these are sanctioned things that you can take advantage of to use this policy without having to take the time of finding a counselor. Who the heck is my counselor? I don't have one.
So I want to speak to that because you're
I don't have a high
making
school
a
student.
good
I have the
point.
problem.
We have a plan.
Okay.
And you have advice. So
A
plans go.
plan. Better than that, we have a plan. So we agree that what's very important is that the message that's stated in the policy, what information is available online, and what parents are being told from their school counselor, school administrator, all needs to be the same message. And we as a district need to do a better job equipping our counselors and administrators with the consistent message. So it's not a fault of theirs. I think people do a really good job out in the schools helping parents to navigate through all of this. So here's our plan to help meet that interest. Our next step after tonight is that we've got a principal meeting next Tuesday to again go over now that it's all in policy, to go over it first with our administrators, and they know all of this because they've been involved in all of these discussions over the past couple of years. Then we have a joint meeting with counselors and school administrators set on the schedule with Heather and Matt, and we're going to be going over all of the policy with counselors and principals from all of the schools in the same room so we can answer the questions. And then we've got materials ready to go, almost, to be available online that include things like four-year planners, because I think sometimes we hear, my child can't fit it all in. And we've run a number of scenarios with students who are in multiple AP and band and orchestra, and it's really helpful to see you do have these 24 spots to earn these 22 credits. Here's where there's flexibility around world language potentially, and here's how you can do it, and here's when you're going to start running into some challenges. And in addition to that, we've got frequently asked questions around all of these things to help as well. So our plan is to first make sure that we've got it all internally communicated and everybody on the same page, and then have those same materials so a parent could go there, and that would be the same information on the website that you're hearing from your counselor and your administrator.
That would be great.
And remind me what we're doing with our schools that don't have gyms for PE.
So,
Because that's another whole group of people for PE.
Right. So the reality, here's just the reality. The reality is ICS does not have a gym facility. And it's very challenging, if not impossible, to teach PE when you don't have a gym. So all of the students at ICS have been requesting equivalency credit. Granted, there's been a different form, so that's another thing that we've sort of uncovered. Again, no fault of theirs, just they were using a different form. So now moving forward, those students, if that's other good cause, my school doesn't offer PE, that's other good cause. So now I need to either ask to be seek equivalency credit if I'm in the class of 2013 to 15, or take the assessment, and then classes of 20, starting with the class of 2016, the only option is take the assessment. And that would be the same what we would do at STEM as well, because it's the same situation.
Okay. Yes, it's hard to do without a gym. And gyms are expensive. Okay, are we moving approval of this? Is that what our goal is? All right.
That's our recommendation.
Graduation requirements, it must be one that we must approve, yes.
Policy, correct.
It's a different type, even though it's an administrative.
Move approval. Oh, so moved. She beat me. Seconded.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, graduation requirements. You know Nancy, she's quick on the draw. Okay, anything else from the superintendent?
I do have a brief report on opening of school reconfiguration.
That would be wonderful.
Okay. So as we all know, this fall is an exciting time for our district as we transition from K-6 elementary schools, 7-9 junior highs, and 10-12 high schools to K-5 elementary, 6-8 middle, and 9-12 high schools. Today is the 4th day of school. And it's the 4th day of our new configuration. So I thought it would be a good time to highlight some of the work that happened over this summer in our different areas. And I've got some good data and numbers to share, and give a little bit of anecdotal information that I've received from principals about the first few days of school. So first, just to highlight some of the facilities and modernization work. We know much of this work is associated with reconfiguration. We've got 2 new additions, one at Eastlake High School, one at Redmond High School, and those are there to accommodate our 9th graders. We've got new facility space for Renaissance Middle School at the Eastlake campus. We've got the new STEM school, which has begun on the Eastlake High School campus with their 300 9th and 10th graders, and that STEM, their own school, is scheduled to be ready in December. And then, of course, we have 3 new elementary schools opening: Modernization, Keller, Muir, and Sandburg Discovery. So a lot of work over this summer. I think these are maybe the most amount of modernization projects and capital projects that we've had going on at any one time. And so kudos to our teams there. We also had quite a bit of work around technology, and a lot of work from our warehouse in getting us ready for this big shift. So just some of the numbers here, technology by the numbers. We've got 21 switches that had to be installed this summer to provide phones or access to our wide area fiber network. We have 178 wireless access points that needed to be installed in classrooms and hallways and offices to provide wireless coverage for internet access for our students. 2,496 ports had to be installed for phones or Ethernet for classroom and office use. 152 classrooms were outfitted with our district standard technology footprint, including our active boards and document cameras, and those are a result of modernization and reconfiguration both.
So Tracy, I just do have to ask this one. I live next to Best, and I can always, as I sit at my bus stop, I can access the wireless through Best. The portables that just went in at Emerson have something like 96 hardwired ports per classroom. Why are we hardwiring the heck out of classrooms when we've got wireless?
96 hardware.
They've got the ports per portable. There's like 3 different routers in there, and my friends who are helping set up the classrooms were wondering, gosh, we've got 24 or 30 kids in the classroom. They've all got Wi-Fi. Why did we have to put in Ethernet ports for every one of those computers? I don't believe in EMF. I live next to a substation.
I will find out about that, Chris, because I don't know the answer. Okay.
2,496 ports. I'm curious what they're for.
What are they for? Okay, phones or Ethernet, but good question. Couple other technology-related numbers. We had 18,867 student laptops imaged over the summer, And in terms of movement of materials between schools, our warehouse manager and his crew moved 1,936 boxes of textbooks and library books over the summer. So we had 3 drivers working 211 hours to move all the materials because there's quite a bit of stuff that needed to be moved from elementary to middle school to high school. Personnel, I thought this might be interesting to share in terms of how many teachers moved and what did that look like. Teacher moves to high school. We had 17 English social studies teachers move to high school, 9 math, 4 science, 4 PE, and 4 world language. In terms of teacher moves to middle school, we had 23 LASS teachers, 23 math science, 3 PE health. So we had 87 total moves for reconfiguration, and if you remember, we went through a priority transfer list process early on, and we had 129 staff members initially on that priority transfer list, and then 87 total making moves associated with reconfiguration.
And I am curious about the priority list. Was there anybody who wound up sort of stuck in a position that they don't have a certification for?
No, because we won't allow that to happen. That you have to
sure.
have
We were
your
able to work
endorsements
through.
and
Okay,
you're highly
good.
qualified.
Wait a minute, we don't have anybody out of endorsement right now?
I will double check that. But we haven't. We've had a couple of people not highly qualified who are on plans to get highly qualified.
Yeah, we usually have a couple.
But there's a difference between the endorsement and highly qualified.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we used to have to approve them periodically.
Cool.
For special ed and stuff, but we haven't for a long time.
You know how many people just kind of fell by the wayside?
Or we're not sure, but I know what
For retirement? Or
Yeah.
I don't have that. I don't have that data in terms of how many resignations or retirements.
We're sure, there weren't very many on the
Yeah.
list for today.
That's my
Ironic.
sense, but I was just curious.
I think the ones that have been there were kind of there by years and a long time.
Well, it's sort of the opposite end of the spectrum from people who are low on the totem pole who have to move buildings unwillingly. That's not the people who are about to retire. So, anyway.
I think that, our whole process around that priority transfer list helped quite a bit. So just a couple other themes, I think, from this staggered start. So this is just anecdotes from principals and some of the themes that I pulled out of the information they shared with me. And I think you heard that reiterated tonight from the new administrators at the reception. But overall, student anxiety is very low. In terms of what principals are reporting, that kids are really excited to be in their new schools. There's lots of smiles and excitement at all levels, including the elementary, where the 5th graders are now having an opportunity to take on a new leadership role. I've had lots of reports from principals about a renewed energy due to the many changes. We've got new teachers teaching new grade levels, new teachers teaching at new buildings, and so there's been a lot of teaming this past August, and teacher teams working together. They had some additional leap time, if you remember, and that proved very helpful in helping teachers be prepared for the first day of school. There's been a lot of curriculum planning, beginning of year planning, and a lot of just collaboration and good feeling in buildings. We've had a lot of parents helping, especially in the first days of school, so really want to thank all of our parents for helping out there. And we've had lots of our students helping. So our 8th grade students helping welcome in the new 6th and 7th graders and really doing orientations. And many of our middle schools have a web team where everyone belongs, or some sort of similar strategy for engaging all of the new students at the school. I think you heard one of our administrators share tonight that the 11th and 12th graders have done a lot of work in orientation activities for the incoming 9th and 10th graders. In terms of challenges, interesting this year, we anticipated more challenges than normal due to reconfiguration. And anytime any one of us says this, we sort of look at each other and wonder if we should say it out loud because we don't want to jinx anything. But this year, thank you, has been exceptionally smooth. And
Great to hear.
More so than we anticipated, even some of our calls, even around such things as transportation, which always, our transportation team does an outstanding job with planning, and there's always some glitches. We've had a little bit more ridership than we anticipated based on the change, but overall, the number of calls and concerns about transportation is lower this year than it's been in previous years. So that's interesting. We did hear a little bit of food service challenge on the first day because more students ate than we anticipated. So there was, I think food service didn't know that everyone was going to eat, but that was a little challenge that we could overcome. But I did hear a report that especially the middle school kids are enjoying moving from classroom to classroom and having a variety of teachers, and the overall yumminess of the cafeteria food was highlighted.
Are they eating their half a cup of vegetables each day?
They are, we are implementing the...
No, they have to take them. They're being monitored, but are they eating them?
Yeah, I think since it's day 4 of school, we're going to need a little more time.
I have a hard time making sure 3 little boys eat their vegetables. It's almost impossible to make sure a whole classroom
I just think we're going to have to put guards at the garbage cans, and they can't leave unless they've eaten their vegetables.
No, Nancy, please don't go there.
I know, we'll have...
It's good that we're composting in a lot of our schools.
We got to eat the vegetables, not just dish them out.
So just to conclude, overall, it's been a very smooth start. I think it speaks to all of the planning and preparation from really everyone, from at the district level, at the building level, the classroom level, in planning for this reconfiguration shift. And I think all that hard work and preparation has really paid off. And I just want to highlight all of that tonight and really say a thank you to all of our administrators and all of our staff members for helping the shift to be successful, and our parents. Thank you.
And you know what? It just goes to show, when you just put the kids there, we knew they'd do just fine.
No, but it is a remarkable tribute to you and your staff, because it has...
Definitely. And the planning.
Unless they were just trying to say nice things to the new board members, they all said it had gone remarkably smoothly, all the new administrators.
Well, and also the comments about how staff that's been in the buildings, open arms, I'm here to help, what can I do for you? And I think it just shows the culture of education, that it's a caring group of people.
So well done on the
Yes,
reconfiguration and getting
yes.
it through.
Glad to hear it went.
Or is going well.
It's going well.
We have to remember it's day 4.
Going well, day 4. Great. Okay, Doug, do you have something for us for Ledge?
Yeah, a couple of things. Again, kudos to the staff and parents and everybody else that made the first few days work as smoothly as they have. I mean, my phone has been very quiet, which is fine. And so that's great.
He can have an extra.
A couple of things. As you know, the Supreme Court ruled that the way that we fund education in the state is unconstitutional. And as part of that ruling, they also created a relationship that's kind of unique, and that is that one branch, that i.e. the legislature, is required to report to another branch, the Supreme Court. And so the first report is due on September 17th. And the legislature is acting a lot like some of our students, and that is they're waiting to the last minute. They're arguing about what they should do. And so it's going to be interesting, because there's one argument about, well, since this is dealing with the Supreme Court, should we should we recognize the attorney-client privilege and not meet in public to discuss what we're going to talk to the Supreme Court about? So anyway, there's a lot of interesting little side things going on right now. But stay tuned for September 17th to see what they say as far as how they're working to fix the problem. The other thing is, roughly 2 months from today will be an election.
That's right.
And so the whole House of Representatives of the state is up, and I think a third of the Senate, and so it'll be interesting to see
As well as
whether there's any changes.
As well as the governorship.
as well as the governorship and Supreme Court.
And
We'll have a few seats up, too. So anyway, that'll be interesting. And only other thing is that our state association is meeting on September 21st and 22nd at the SeaTac Marriott to discuss and adopt our legislative program for the next biennium. So I'll be attending that, and I'll report on that next meeting.
Great.
Y'all should remember to vote for WASDA. We get to vote online now.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right.
The WASDA vote came to us.
That's right.
Ballots are online. Thank you. I think
So
I got it twice.
It'll be interesting to see if that increases the
The vote?
the turnout.
The turnout. Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay. Any board follow-up items needed? Don't think so. I don't think I had anything from the last time. I'll look real quick. While I'm doing that, does anybody have any future agenda items
I just had a comment when that's
that are tech work
appropriate.
session?
In terms of the future items, you're meeting with the Rosa Parks community on the 24th, I believe, or 27th? 27th, okay. So at the meeting after that, we'd like to hear from you.
Yeah,
and see
a
if
report on that.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. The other thing is I'm thinking with Doug talking about the elections, we should probably have a conversation about what do we want to do about meeting with legislators before the session. We've done them in a variety of manners in the past. The bigger the group of legislators we invite, the more likely they are to bail. Because they figure other people are in the room, they can say at last minute, gee, I can't come. So smaller groups tend to have a better attendance on their part. We've had a time where all of us have appeared and gotten there, and there were supposed to be 5 or 6 of them, and there's 1. You know, so it's a little overbalanced that way. So we've done breakfasts. We've done breakfasts with PTA with them. We've done a variety of things over time. I think the last one we did, Chip actually scheduled a bunch of breakfast, coffees, or lunches with everybody, and then put the schedule out, and then board members attended as they were able to sit on those. And part of that was he had come up with 3 or 4 items that were highly important to the Lake Washington School District that he wanted them to be sure to keep in mind as the session started, and then asked what they needed from us and how they, you know, some foresight into what they see the session coming up for those that are repeating. And for the new people, it'd be interesting to listen to a little bit about their platform. But I think that worked the best because I think, you know, not all board members could go to all of them, but, you know, sometimes it was 2 or 3 of us, and sometimes it was just 1, sometimes none. It just depended on when they were. But they were like hour meetings at the most. So, and they were well attended. Legislators were pretty good about that. So we either met here for coffee or next door or had them come to us, kind of thing, and try to do it before the first week in January, before the holidays. Because once you get into January, the new people have to go in for training, and then you lose the whole.
It's all too late.
Okay. Any other debrief from the board? Okay, any board member comments?
I was just to say I was in Iceland a few weeks ago, and we went by a school out in the tundra somewhere, and they have a situation where I suspect it's like Alaska, where they have dorms because there's so much, you know, distance between where people live and the school.
Yeah.
But anyway, they keep those open all year round, and so in the summer they'll turn them into hostels, and so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, it must be a challenge to provide education for that, you know, people that are spread all over creation.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, our next meeting is September 24th at 5:30 p.m. as the board meeting, and that's our short meeting. That's our no public comment meeting. So we will have, though, the public hearing that night. And then we have a work session at 7, and that is on principal-teacher professional growth and evaluation system. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Actually, Jackie?
Yes, before you.
Yep. We'll have to have public input on resolutions in support of, or not in support of said bonds.
Yeah, because it's a public
But that'll
hearing.
be specific to those items. So there will be I'm sorry, maybe it's too late. Maybe I just wasn't
Yeah.
following what you said.
Yeah,
But
we'll
there
have
will
a
be
public
comment
hearing.
on
Well,
those.
yes, we'll have a
hearings.
public hearing.
Yes.
So there'll be pros
But
and
it's not
cons on
public
that
comment.
topic, but it's our night to not have public comment on anything other than the public hearing.
Right.
Does that make more sense?
Because it's
Yes.
a very short meeting.
Yes, it's our short meeting night.
Like it.
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, meeting's adjourned. All right.